Hi Srishti, how are you? Welcome back.
Hi, it's so good to be back all over again. I think it's been my pleasure to return back to the wonderful initiatives that the Jeju Alumni Office creates. And I'm so grateful that I'm here today to talk on something very interesting yet again. So thank you so much for having me.
So Srishti, what I know, you've recently switched jobs now. Can you tell me a little bit about a little bit more about your background since we've already shared it in the previous webinar a little bit. We want to delve a little more deep into your background as well as what you're doing at the moment. I believe you're working at a NGO that, has influence in women-led business as well. And they promote it. So could you tell me a little bit more about that? Briefly share your background and what led you to work in this women's economic empowerment and international development in general. So yeah.
Absolutely. Although I must place it on record that I'm not an entrepreneur myself yet, but I still feel that this topic by itself, it's very close to my heart, where I can speak about women-led businesses and the sort of influence it creates as well. I am currently working at the Association of Business Women in Commerce and Industry. It is a different chamber from where I was working previously. And the topic that we're discussing today on women-led businesses, it feels very important and I would say very personal to me as well. Um, I must share that, I grew up in a family that valued fairness and education. My parents, they always encouraged me to think big, to keep learning, and they never clipped my wings in any form. So I think a strong influence of that has always been the foundation that my family had set for me. Another strong influence and a personal inspiration that I must share with you is has been my aunt, who has worked extensively on gender rights and human rights. And I feel like watching her commitment to justice, to listening all about her work, her stories, it shaped my early belief um, that empowerment, it must be more than words, and that it has to be lived and practiced as well. That sort of belief was something that I then carried through my academic and professional journey as well, where I studied law. And then I went on to pursue a master's degree in diplomacy, law, and business from Jindal Global University with an exchange program at University of Basel in Switzerland as well. Along the way, along this extensive academic journey, I also had the chance of engaging with multiple international organizations, think tanks, and platforms like United Nations Commission on the Status of Women, where I firsthand saw how women-led enterprises, businesses, they are not just businesses per se, but they are catalysts for broader social and economic transformation as well. To speak a little bit about the current role that I am in, I'm really glad to say that I bring all of this together. I build partnerships, I build networks that connect women entrepreneurs from all across the borders, and it opens up doors to markets, resources, and influence, to say that way. In many ways, I believe that the values that I learned at home and the experiences that I have gathered globally, they are now guiding me in this form of work as well. So that's why I feel like that today's discussion, where we're talking about women-led businesses who are moving from enterprise to influence, it feels really close to me and really close to my heart as well.
So, Shrishti, could you delve a little more into your role at your current organization and you working at the Association of Business Women and in commerce and industry, and could you tell us a little more about the organization itself and what its core mission is?
Absolutely. I know it is quite a mouthful when people say it's Association of Business Women in Commerce and Industry. I fumble so many times as well, but I think I'm always in awe when I get to share about the work that I'm doing at different ventures, I would say. So ABWCI is a global chamber that fosters connections for women and between women in businesses all across the borders. The core mission that we extensively focus on is to create a very strong and supportive ecosystem where women entrepreneurs can access opportunities, can access networks, markets that may otherwise feel out of reach as well. What inspires me the most is working with a leadership team that is deeply committed to impact, whether it is enabling cross-border collaborations, building alliances, forging partnerships with global organizations, or creating platforms for women where they can showcase about their businesses and they can further influence policy work as well. So essentially, when you look at my role over here as the lead of partnerships and alliances, it's actually twofold, where it is about forging partnerships and fostering new relationships. Again, where I connect women-led businesses with chambers, corporates, global institutions, and organizations. And on the other hand, it's also about building alliances where we bring together organizations and people together to a common goal. This could also mean where we work with the global network, we design initiatives with international partners, and we create platforms where women entrepreneurs can really use that as a medium to exchange knowledge, collaborate, and grow together. So it's a whole different ecosystem where we support, trust, and influence women-led businesses in the larger community.
So, Srishti, along those lines, only in your experience, so how are these women-led businesses making an impact beyond the domestic and the local economies, like in areas of peace building and, diplomacy and global development, connecting to your background also? So, yeah.
I think that's a very interesting question that you've posed over there with a wonderful thought where I'm able to, as you rightly pointed out, able to weave all the experiences that I come from. I think the very fact that the impact of these businesses it goes beyond contributing to local economies. It's a very minute thing because it extends in areas like peace building, diplomacy, and global development as well. Um, Women entrepreneurs, they often build businesses that are deeply community oriented. They not just create jobs that are networks of trust and collaboration, but they also naturally spill this into peace building because when women are economically empowered, they are most likely to invest more in education, more in healthcare, more in community engagement and stability as well, all of which it reduces vulnerabilities to conflict as well. So that's one segment of it. But of course, if we look at it on a more global and a diplomatic scale as well, then I think women-led businesses, they bring a very unique form of perspective into the whole trade and the development dialogues. They advocate for fairer access to finance, access to partnerships, cross-border partnerships as well, and inclusivity in policies as well. So I think that's another segment through which I am able to look at it, considering the work that I have previously done. And currently as well in my own work, I've seen that there are that the very fact that we are able to connect women-led enterprises to international organizations and chambers, it allows them to really step into a space of influence where they are able to shape how we think about concepts of sustainability, of growth, and even resilience as well. So I think they're not just economic actors, as I would like to call them, but they are also bridge builders across cultures, across nations. And that's exactly where the true essence of the influence in global development and diplomacy that lies there. So, yeah.
So, Srishti, you talked about, women being an influence and your bridge builders, basically. So, what are some of the key challenges? I'm pretty sure, doing something so enormous and so influential does not come without its, obstructions or, challenges. So, what are some of those challenges that women entrepreneurs, within the border ecosystem itself, face? and how do these, obstacles actually impact their ability to start and scale a business in general? Yeah.
That's again a very important question that I must say here, considering both of us are women and we get to talk about this when we are given a platform. And from my own experience, I'm sure that the challenges are not just limited to the numbers that I place here, but it goes far more beyond that. It's even more layered and quite systematic in its own way as well. But the primary, the most important, I would say, challenge that we face is access to finance, which is something which our organization is also working towards, where we've noticed that there are so many women who struggle with securing loans, different sorts of capital investment, and I think it's also because it's quite gender biased and without any financial support, financial scaling becomes naturally a very, very big hindrance in really accessing that sort of commitment, I would say. Secondly, I feel like it's also got to do with networking and sort of mentorship gaps as well, because it's let's be very honest that it is a male dominated business ecosystem that we are living in in the current times, and I think it just makes it very hard to access the right circle of influence. It could be of investors, it could be of mentors, which can really help them grow as well. Um, and there are so many other issues that we can also think about. There are so many cultural and social expectations, challenges that play a key role in this time where women are they are expected to balance their enterprises alongside their family responsibilities. And I think it really um, squeezes a lot of time and energy out of their dedication and their day-to-day work as well that way. So there's so much to do on that aspect. We've also got policy and structural barriers as well, where unequal access to global market, limited amount of representation is also something that we've seen, which affects women-led enterprises as well. So I think all of these effects and all of these challenges, so to say, they create like a ripple effect where scaling them to a level where they can influence and be a part of the industrial policy and the international market becomes really difficult. And I think that's why organizations like ABWCI and so many other networks, they form such a critical role where they can step in and provide the mentorship, provide partnership and visibility to women entrepreneurs so that they can move from enterprise to influence.
That's a very nice recognition of the whole topic itself. So, Shrishti, for my next question, I would like to ask you, what are these international institutions or, donors doing to recognize the strategic value of, women-led businesses, or what kind of influence they have over, the international community in general?
Again, I think it's very important that we do bring into record the sort of importance that donor organizations also play in today's time, both on a local level, local, national, and an international level as well, because um, again, there are conversations, there's so much to do in really empowering women entrepreneurs, where the actual structure of access to finance, access to credit, other trade, and really understanding the trade agreements and policies are often something which I feel they are not designed with keeping the women-led or enterprises or women in businesses in mind. So I think there are very few national international trade policies that can actually factor in this whole system where these barriers that women face. They're trying to enter into the market, and it just face they sort of face like a difficulty, I would say. And I think that's where organizations, they provide with donor organizations really provide them with a little bit of a pump, I would say, a little bit of energy, and a great amount of motivation in my head as well. So I think the importance stands really important and really chiming in with all the other organizations, chiming in with the government and the non-government sector as well. So yeah, I think it's important that we really look at that from a perspective that each of these entities, each of these actors in the global ecosystem, they really have to pave a way together so that they can work on it collectively.
So, Srishti, just along those lines, you talked about, policy shift. So, from a policy perspective only, what are some of these shifts that are, international or, domestic that you think are a little misleading or they're missing or, under addressed a little bit, in the international development efforts of, supporting these women-led businesses or enterprises? How can these policy shifts actually challenge key misconceptions about, women in business? So that whole general idea, what is your perspective on it?
From a policy perspective, it's very important that one area where we still feel that we are underrepresented slash even under addressed is gender responsive financing trade policy, where there are plenty of conversations about empowering women entrepreneurs, and the actual structure by itself, as I did touch upon it, is not designed with the fact that women businesses um, are kept in mind. For example, very few national and international trade policies, they actively keep that in their mind as part of the barriers that women face when they are trying to be a part of the workforce. And I think one critical policy shift that we would want to integrate is about mandatory gender considerations when we are trying to produce these frameworks, where we earmark more women-led businesses. And similarly for international development programs as well, I think it's important that we try to intentionally put them at the spot, put them on the seat, so that these projects and these and the cross-border trade overall can then be adapted with that in their mind. I remember when I was working for the think tank a couple of years back, I remember that there were organizations we were trying to get in touch with that were working on the lines of feminist foreign policy. And I found that as a very creative way of really bringing the whole women oriented aspect, and literally bringing women in the foreign policy, and the engagement of diplomacy as well that way. So I think it's again a lot is being done. I must give a lot of credit to everybody on that, but there's still so much work that needs to be done on that aspect, so that overall we can shape the global economy in the right way that we want to see it being out in the outcome that way.
So, Srishti, coming to real life now, theories aside, can you share a real life story or, an example of a woman entrepreneur from like that your organization has supported, who has, influenced in a wider sense or, exemplified the whole women-led business agenda and, has had a wider impact in general?
I mean, I think there would be so many to be honest, because there are so many women that you keep on meeting at different junctures, so many stories that you keep on coming across. But I think the one that really comes to my mind at this point of time is the one where which happened very recently, I would say, just a couple of days after I joined my current organization. And I felt like that story, that particular person stayed with me and continues to stay with me in my heart. We conducted an event with in partnership with Hero Motocorp. And it was designed around the lines of a Shark Tank model, where we went and literally searched into a bunch of these states within India, where women entrepreneurs, they came forward, they came to Delhi to pitch in their businesses, and they were all businesses about to do with tailoring, to do with achar papad, and so many other things. But I think among them, the one person whose story really left a very lasting impression and an impact on me was this person who was she was a transgender woman who wanted to start her own business. And I think the way she was looking at it was not just I would say about building a business for profit, but it was also she was going beyond to solve a community problem and not just create opportunities for her, but for the representation that she brought there as well. And I think the very fact that she wanted to be associated by the label of a business owner was something that stayed with me. That sort of inspiration, that sort of spirit. So I think that sort of that purpose of really linking enterprise with the wider impact, the larger impact that we're trying to capture. It's a beautiful thing, I think, and it just dawns upon you every now and then that when women entrepreneurs, we're reminded, when we are given platforms, when we are given access to networks, access to mentorship, we don't just scale enterprises, but they also amplify their influence within their reach as well. So I think they become, in my head, I think they all became role models. They became these agents of change and voices for development as well, that goes far beyond the immediate business reach as well. And that's exactly the kind of impact that we would want to create, so that we can strive to nurture women-led businesses.
So, Srishti, just another moment in your work, besides this, for obvious reasons, as you mentioned. So, what's another moment in your work that reminds you why this actually matters, and why we can't afford to leave the female, the women in general, out of global decision making or decision making in general, to be honest.
So many moments. I mean, Rehat, I honestly have to say that there's never been one moment where it's become sort of a realization to you. But I think the most vivid one that I still think about is was the first time that I spoke on a global platform. It was a summit, an online summit during the peak of COVID, where we had young women and girls from different parts of the world. They came together to discuss issues of equality, of development, and representation. And I still remember before my panel, when I was looking here and there to see big names, big policymakers, practitioners, it I think what I was just able to think was that this is my opportunity to really add my voice to the larger movement that I'm given a chance to be at. And when I finally did get a chance to speak at that, something really shifted within me. And I realized that people listened, they responded, and I think that's ever since then I've always been a strong propagator for the fact that when that having a platform is so important, and that every perspective on it matters as well. So I think that experience, of course, just helped me gain the courage to continue speaking at spaces, at platforms where I could contribute by being represented. It eventually did lead me to the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women, UNCSW, for 2 years, where I represented an NGO which was based out of London. And again, there's the same rush of nervousness. It's the same sense of clarity as well that you get over there. And it was all about the fact that I was not just speaking for myself, but I was also carrying forward so many experiences, so many aspirations of many young women behind me. So it's only in those moments that you realize that there's something fundamental, that empowerment is complete. It's not, it's just there something. And then, of course, the journey begins where, when women are handed the microphone, when they have the chance to be a part of these conversations. And yeah, that's exactly where I felt that it's so important that we do not leave women out of the whole process, out of the whole movement of global decision making as well. So yeah, the more voices we add to the room, I think it's just another way of bringing new ways of thinking and inclusivity in this world.
So, Shristi, any final thoughts you have on the topic itself, women-led businesses from enterprise to influence? Do you have anything else that you'd like to add on to the topic itself, or, any other thoughts that you feel that should have been addressed in this webinar? Anything?
No, I think at this point of time, I just feel like I have tried my best to just bring into perspective and bring it on record that a lot needs to be done still at this point of time, and that organizations and um, people like us can only be the change makers, and that if we do put it on ourselves that we are the people, we are the crusaders who can really carry this movement ahead and be a part of other ventures like this. I think it's very important that we do that to the best of our abilities, I would say. So and then again, so much to do still, and so much more that needs to be done. But all we can do is just continue doing the work that we've been doing so far and amplify voices, create better networks, and make this a wonderful place for everybody to flourish and thrive.
So, Srishti, this has been another delight after the first webinar we did together. And yeah, thank you so much for connecting once again. And hopefully, we'll do another one soon. It's been months since the first one, but yeah, it's really good to see you again.
Absolutely. Pleasure being here on this platform as well. And I think the work that the Alumni Association is doing, it's completely outstanding, because it's only through these mediums that you can actually bring forward the work that the alumni is, of course, doing, but also carve a change in a beautiful way. So thank you so much to you for really facilitating this, and to your team, because as I said, it's an absolute pleasure to be back at JGU, and we hope to get to do this on campus sometime soon.
Definitely, we might call you for a podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, thank you. Bye.
Well on time. Thank you so much. Bye bye.